So, the Memphis Grizzlies won tonight against the Chicago Bulls, and they're playing really well, and I feel like they're going a bit under the radar and being a bit underappreciated. So, they currently have a 27-25 record. Very good considering injuries, how hard their schedule's been, and the fact that they're a young team playing in the Western Conference. That's good for 8th in the West, which puts them firmly in the play-in. I suspect they'll finish in 8th. I don't think they're quite good enough to topple the Dallas and Portlands of the world, but I think they're definitely good enough and have a relatively easy schedule, and just have the abilities to hold off the Spurs, the Pelicans, the Warriors, the teams in that bracket. So they are 15th in offensive rating and 8th in defensive rating, and they play at the 6th highest pace in the league. They take advantage of their rebounding and having a bunch of young athletic players, guys like John Morant and Brandon Clark, and take the opportunity to run in transition, and they're a really solid defensive team. So that bodes well for them. John Morant this season averaging 19 points a game, 3.5 boards, and almost 7.5 assists. He really is their centerpiece, the point guard. Does a lot of their stuff offensively, whether it be creating for himself, getting inside, going to the rim, getting to the free throw line, or creating for others. He's one of the best playmakers in the NBA already. Sometimes when he goes to the rim, he doesn't quite have a plan, but most of the time he can end up finishing the layup acrobatically or getting to the free throw line. A few concerns about him. He's a great player, obviously, but only shooting 27% from 3 this season. Obviously, a bit of that is just having the ball in your hands a lot, having it near the end of the clock. Sometimes you have to jack up bad threes, but that is a bit concerning. And he hasn't been great defensively this season. I'm not too worried about these two things yet. I think defensively he definitely has the athleticism to be able to stay in front and be at least a solid defender. And then the three-point shooting, we've seen a lot of players develop a three-point shot throughout their career. I think he'll be fine with it. He's not a non-shooter, but he's also not taking 7 a game. He's taking under 4 a game, and it's not really killing his team. I think his percentages will nudge up until he's at least a respectable three-point shooter. So Ja, a really exciting young player. And then maybe definitely one of the most underrated players in the NBA, in my opinion, Jonas Valanciunas, who is averaging almost 17 points and 13 rebounds. He's 3rd in the NBA in rebounds per game, and he is just a classic, very good, very solid center. A bit of an old school player. That Marc Gasol trade has really worked out for both teams. He has the ability to post up and finish over smaller defenders and even maul defenders his own size out of the way. And the Grizzlies are willing to throw it to him in the post, whether he's just be guarded by a center or if they get a switch. They're willing to do that, and he's really effective in there, finishing around the rim, but also getting to the free throw line where he's a solid free throw shooter. So Valanciunas, a really good player and a really good rebounder. And then defensively, okay, he's a bit slow, and he can't really switch onto the perimeter, but the Grizzlies are versatile enough and are willing enough to make adjustments where he can usually stay in the paint and be a decent rim protector. So Valanciunas, really good this season, a really good solid center. And then apart from those two guys, the rest of the rotation is just filled with really, really good NBA players. Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Brandon Clark, Grayson Allen, Desmond Bane, Melton, Tyus Jones, and Xavier Tillman. The Grizzlies just play no bad players. Everyone who touches the floor for the Memphis Grizzlies is a very good NBA player. Dylan Brooks can provide some three-point shooting and, is a menace defensively. Kyle Anderson is a pretty solid all-around player, though he does play in slow motion. He can make the extra pass, he can hit the three, he can guard well. Brandon Clark is an exciting young player, someone who can run the run the break with John Morant, an exciting and athletic young player. And then shooters like Grayson Allen, Desmond Bane, who's looking like a really good 3-and-D guy. D'Anthony Melton, who is a solid backup guard. Same thing for Tyus Jones and Xavier Tillman, who's also looking like a very good backup as a rookie. So no bad players, just a very solid NBA team and a very solid rotation, coached by Taylor Jenkins, who in my opinion is a very good young coach, whether it be the sets he draws up or his willingness to switch it up defensively, depending on matchups, but still, playing within his players' limitations and not asking them to do things they can't. Some team stats: they are 4th in rebounds, and they win the possession battle almost every night. A lot of that is Valanciunas, but almost everyone chips in on the glass. They rebound as a team, and then off that, they run the fast break, and that's also where they get a lot of their offense. Not an extremely talented offensive team, but they take advantage of the fast break, whether to be get layups or dunks or get to the line or generate corner threes. So the rebounding is really at the core of what they do. And they're also 5th in assists. They're a team that moves the ball. John Morant's a great playmaker, and almost everyone else, Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, they can all make the extra pass and are willing passers, and they have a great thing going with their team chemistry. And they're 5th in assists. They're also 1st in steals, which also leads to fast breaks. They force a ton of turnovers, and they have the personnel to do it between Ja and Kyle Anderson and Dylan Brooks and Brandon Clark. They have the potential, the personnel to force the steals, and they do it. And that's where they get a lot of their offense. Again, not a super talented offensive team, but they take advantage of the fast break and getting into their offense before the defense can get set. And forcing steals is a huge part of that. And then they also don't turn the ball over themselves. So they're picking all the low-hanging fruit. They're forcing turnovers, they're rebounding, and they're not turning the ball over. They're getting up a shot, and Jonas Valanciunas is one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. He's always around the basket, looking to get tip-ins, looking to bring it down and kick it out. And that's also a big part of what they do. Just not giving up and fighting till the possession is over. So a good offensive rebounding team. Don't turn the ball over and share the ball too. And this leads to them being a gritty team, sort of paying tribute to the grit and grind era before them, but also an exciting young team that is unselfish and plays basketball the right way. And yeah, defensively, they're very versatile, and they try and have Valanciunas stay in the paint and protect the paint. Not like an elite rim protector, but he's a big guy. He does a decent job. And then the other thing they do is they limit corner threes. They've clearly identified that as a spot where games can be won and lost. So they try and limit corner threes, and they take a lot of corner threes, or, they take a big portion of their threes from the corner, hunting them down in transition or just off kickouts and drives. One of their weaknesses is they're 26th in 3-point attempts and 19th in percentage, shooting almost 36%. And a lot of that is, Ja's not really a 3-point shooter, nor is Valanciunas. And they do have some decent shooters off the bench, but they don't really have an elite shooter who gets big minutes. And while they have some decent shooters, they're just not a team that shoots a lot of threes. So that's a bit of a weakness. Obviously, 3-point shooting, a huge part of the modern NBA. But someone who will help that is Jaren Jackson Jr., who hasn't played a minute this season, unfortunately. The last injury report says it's going to be a few more weeks. But once he gets back, he'll really help them out. Obviously, buying into their culture, a decent playmaker, and a good versatile defender, someone who can switch onto the perimeter quite well for a big man, but also provide some secondary rim protection. So that's really exciting. And the other thing is offensively, the 3-point shooting. He has no fear getting them up. He shot 39% on 6.5 a game last season. So that's really going to help them out. And We'll see when he gets back. When he does, he's going to really help them out at the power forward position. And maybe they'll play him a bit at center. But between Valanciunas and Tillman and Brandon Clark playing some there, I think they're pretty solid. So maybe it'll just be a few minutes. The Jaren Jackson, Brandon Clark front court is certainly intriguing, but he'll definitely come out. As for the rest of the season, I think they're definitely going to make the play-in. I think they're good enough if they're the 8 seed to win 1 out of 2 and make the playoffs. That would lead to a matchup probably with the Jazz, and I think the Jazz would probably win, but I think it's definitely valuable playoff experience, and I think they could definitely win a game between Ja, who set his career high 44 points in the play-in last year, Valanciunas, who can hold his own against Gobert, and just the variety of solid players they have. So we'll see, but they're certainly on the right track with this rebuild. They have a young star in Ja Morant, and just plenty of good NBA players, both young and some vets. So we'll see what happens, but they're a fun team to watch. I really like the Grizzlies, and I just thought I'd give them some appreciation. Anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, leave a like, and I'll see you guys next time.